Hi, Matt and Blake from footballboots.co.uk, and today we're going to be comparing the new Superfly 5 with the previous Superfly 4. The Superfly 5 was launched as part of the Euro 2016 competition coming up. So how do they actually compare with each other? Let's find out.
So let's get straight into it and talk about the brand new features on the Superfly 5. Now the Superfly 5 has a new speed rib design which merges with the new Brio cables on both sides of the boot. You saw Brio cables on the Superfly 4, really locks down the midfoot for a very responsive fit and feel. And on the sole we have a brand new contoured sole plate. Now this really mirrors the shape of your foot for enhanced responsiveness, traction and braking. So the studs have all been given a sort of chevron design. On the heel it's designed for braking, and on the forefoot it's designed for acceleration. Really responsive sole plate system and much better than the sort of flat carbon fibre you saw in the Superfly 4. What do you think, Matt? What do you like about the new features?
Well, in terms of the previous Superfly 4, I was a big fan of the carbon fibre sole plate, and one thing that I was worried about the new 5 was that it didn't have that carbon fibre sole plate. However, after testing the new Superfly 5, it does a great job of being responsive, and that's actually enhanced by the speed rib upper. So overall, it's actually a really good model compared to the Superfly 4.
So what is the touch like on these two boots? On the Superfly 4, it's very soft, thin and sort of second skin. Very thin touch on the ball. When you're striking the ball, it sort of hurt when you're striking the knuckle balls. And on the Superfly 5, when you're striking a knuckle ball, the speed rib design on the medial side of the boot actually sort of protects your foot and sort of gives a bit more friction when you're striking the ball, especially for those curved shots. And on the medial side, the speed ribs are actually thicker than what you see on the lateral side for speed dribbles. Definitely a good thing to have in the new Superfly 5.
So continuing on from what Blake was talking about the new speed ribs, and there is actually some real differences compared to the Superfly 4. You can definitely tell that there's a different thickness in terms of the speed ribs on either side of the boot. The medial side gave me a really padded and cushioned sensation when striking the ball, and that was definitely a lot more noticeable than what you found on the Superfly 4. Very barefoot, second skin, so when you were touching and striking the ball, you could really feel every sensation there. However, the new speed ribs, especially on that medial side, gives a much better feeling and feedback when actually striking the ball.
So we can both agree that the speed ribs on the new Superfly 4 actually enhance friction a little bit more than what you saw on the Superfly 4. Definitely a good thing to have. And the speed ribs actually start on the midfoot and merge down with the Brio cables in the midfoot, really sort of locking down your foot in place. So you've got the Brio cables and the speed ribs. Speed ribs are actually made of Flyknit, if you didn't know by the way, and it really helps to lock down the midfoot. And you've also got speed ribs on the toe box, really provide a really sort of cushioned and padded feel compared to the Superfly 4.
So putting down the Superfly 5 and bringing in the Superfly 4, and just a little point, the Superfly 4 you actually got a little bit of rollover just on the medial side here. When the boot was actually laced up, you got a little bit of rollover, and I wasn't a big fan of that. However, due to the speed ribs, it does give a little bit more structure in this medial side, so it does hug your foot a lot more better than what the Superfly 4 did.
So great points, Matt. So both boots have the dynamic fit collar. As we can see, they're pretty much at the same height on both boots. Really wraps the ankle for a sock-like feel and fit. And what the dynamic fit collar actually does is that it merges with the Flyknit and Brio cables and speed ribs in the Superfly 5 to really lock down your foot in place. And it's going to work much better with the new contoured sole plate, really locking down your foot. It's going to aid responsiveness. This dynamic fit collar, it's going to work much better with this boot. And personally, I'm not a fan of the dynamic fit collar. I'll probably go for something like the Vapor 11 by Nike Football, which is also released along with the Superfly 5 because it has that traditional low-cut design.
So into the fit and sizing of the new Superfly 5 and the older Superfly 4, and in hand you can almost tell that the new Superfly 5 is actually a lot more true to size. The Superfly 4 ran half a size long, so in my opinion I would have gone for half a size down, but in this new Superfly 5 I'd go true to size. You can get that half a size down if you want a more snug fit, but me, I like it responsive and I'll go true to size. So looking at the sole plate, and you can visually see that it's a little bit more narrow in the toe box compared to the Superfly 4. So overall, it will be a little bit more narrow in the midfoot and also in the toe box. So it won't be great for wide-footed players like Blake.
So yes, this is the one thing with the Mercurial Superfly 5. I'm someone with really wide feet. My favourite boots is something like the Ace 15.1 or the Total 90 Laser 4 by Nike Football. Really wide football boots, and something like this comes along, it really just not going to suit me. I'm someone that has worn the Superfly 4 and it was very narrow in the midfoot, and it just didn't reach out into the toe box for me. It just doesn't fit my foot shape perfectly. The same thing with the Superfly 5. It's very narrow in the midfoot and very narrow in the toe box, so it's really not a boot for me. So is the Superfly 5 actually better than the Superfly 4? We both say yes. Now the main features which make the Superfly 5 much better than the Superfly 4 is that there's new speed ribs on both sides of the boot really enhance friction when you're striking knuckleballs and when you're doing curved shots, especially on the medial side. It helps with dribbling on the lateral side as well. And they also help to merge with the laces, Brio cables, dynamic fit collar and contoured sole plate to really lock down your foot into the shoe much more than what you saw on the Superfly 4. Now the Superfly 4 had carbon fiber, but it was a very sort of flat design on the sole plate. It didn't really enhance that responsiveness. It didn't really follow the contours of your foot like the Superfly 5 did. And yeah, that's the major improvements of the Superfly 5 has over the Superfly 4. So again, you're going to see some of the same features seen on Superfly 4 on the Superfly 5, including the dynamic fit collar, central lacing system, entire Flynet upper and ACC all conditions control technology. So one minor improvement the Superfly 5 has over the Superfly 4 is that the seam on the dynamic fit collar has been minimized and reduced, so it may reduce blisters in that break-in period. A good thing to have in the Superfly 5. So what do you think? Do you think the Superfly 5 is actually better than the Superfly 4? Please vote in our poll card now with which boot you would choose. That is our comparison video. Thank you very much for watching, and as always,
we'll see you next time.